Hey everyone, Dan here. We are after market close on Monday, June 7th. We are going to do an update look at SoFi. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And let's jump right in. So here's the chart that we've been sort of tracking with SoFi in terms of price zones and targets. As it was dipping down quite significantly in the pre-market this morning, a couple of things were apparent from my perspective. One, I knew that we had really strong support at this $20 zone, so I wasn't incredibly concerned, partly because there was this huge gap that I expected to get filled, and it actually filled. I guess it sort of finished off just as the market opened, but it nearly filled during the pre-market. And so, to me, I think there was likely a ton of low volume sort of short manipulation going on here, potentially some version of a short ladder attack or additional shorts coming in super high numbers. We'll check in a moment to see if we can get the updated short volume ratio stats from today, but last I checked, they're not quite there yet. It'd be interesting to see if there was a ton, and if so, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them were consumed at this point. Then as we see when sort of like retail opened just after 7 here. I mean, retail was open before then, but people come in sort of like staggered increments, as you know, in the retail environment as we lead up to the opening bell. And obviously at the opening bell, we had a huge green bar, a couple of additional solid green bars after that. And all total, this sort of like first half of the day was nearly dominated by green, and it really sort of like sustained us throughout the day, even though it tried to like pull back a couple of times. It sustained really well at that 21.21 level that we had already plotted on the chart. So, working through that quite a bit as we were going along. But this is definitely, it's not really like raising concern for me, but it's just sort of telling me that there's levels of attacks and I don't know if we want to call it an attack, but there's ways in which the shorts are attacking this stock that are sort of like gaining, I don't know, we want to say like versatility. They are trying out many, many different ways in order to get a foothold on SoFi, drag it down under that $20 mark, and then get sort of like a roll down from there that will put them back into profitable positions. So I think that that's what's happening. We'll get more data on that as the days unfold. Unfortunately, I don't think that we'll quite have enough data to unpack what's happening quite yet, but it's definitely interesting. And actually, it's sort of like bolstering to me because it sort of says to me that there's pressure being put on in such a way that they're having to find additional ways to try to manipulate the market / their positions and how they are working their way through them in order to suppress the stock. I would call it artificially through all of these tactics. Clearly, retail wants to keep trying to push this up. But the other thing that we're fighting against, to be honest, was the volume today was just over like 4 million. And we're going to need much, much more to come in order to continue to push the price up. So I think to the extent that, you can share these videos, get people interested in SoFi, see if people kind of see the things that we may be seeing, that could help bring in some additional traders, some additional interest. But of course, to those people or to yourself, you should always do your own due diligence. Take everything that you hear here or elsewhere with a grain of salt and prove it out for yourself. And, if there's areas in which you find detractions, then, follow those for yourself. You have to do these things for yourself and not just because somebody else says, I think that this is what's happening. Because at the end of the day, these are all just hypotheses and we have to see what plays out as things happen. So, I don't know if this is exactly where this will form, but there's clearly like the potential for a channel to be forming here. So I don't know if that will really hold even through the after hours, but that could give us a path to 22 here. And, the thing that I'm most interested in, which you probably know by now if you've been watching the other videos, this area here where there was a ton of shorts that came in right at that 24.75 or so level, all the way up to just shy of $25. There was a bunch of shorts that came in and took positions during that time frame on the 2nd of June, which was, I guess, Wednesday of last week. And you can see sort of the outcome from that volume of shorts coming in to the market. It got driven down, it tried to sustain, it got driven down, it tried to bump back, it got driven down, it tried to come back, got driven way down, tried to come back, got driven way down. So there's definitely a strong battle going on here. And I do think to the extent to which there can be any pressure put on that $25 range, I know that feels like kind of a long way away today, but you got to remember, less than a week ago, we made a run at it. And, so if we can stay in this channel, we can break this downtrend, and make a run at 25, I think you'll throw a lot of those shorts into upside down positions and could trigger a squeeze just over 25, especially support on that 25.06 price point that we see up toward the top of the chart there. So that's what I'm going to be looking for from the charts perspective. I'm not going to erase this one. I'm going to keep it up here, but just a spot check. We're pretty low on the RSI, so I'm hoping that can bring some buying pressure in just organically, just sort of like methodologically. And the MACD were relatively flat. I mean, there's some, I guess, decent sort of undulation here on the histogram, but really nothing that's that really jumps out that much to me. It's sort of like waiting to pick a direction, it seems. And it is down just a little bit below the baseline, minus 0.04 now. And so that may give it, there's definitely room to run. So let's just say that. If it wants to run, there's definitely a lot of room to run. All right, so that'll do it for the chart analysis. Let's hop over. We're going to do a relatively quick look at the short data because we've gone over a lot of stuff that hasn't updated. We've gone over it so many times in the past. But let's dissect the fee throughout the day today. So this was updated until the afternoon. It's been updating a little bit slow today. The entire site here has. I don't know if it's like increased traffic on the site because people are aware of it. I don't know if sometimes it's just a slow feed from Interactive Brokers, but who knows? But interestingly enough, you see a big change here. So by open today, there was well over 2 million shorts that had apparently covered and returned, or didn't cover and just returned their borrowed shares to Interactive Brokers. And what we see at that time frame at open is this huge jump up, but that bumped up the availability. Luckily, the fee held in the 70s here. As we were talking about in previous videos, we used to be in the 200s. Oh, that's still here. We used to be in the 200s, then we dropped into the mid 100s, and then we lost the 100s. We were in the 80s and 90s, and then we even lost the 80s, and now we're in the 70s. So we're trying really hard to hold the 70s. Eventually, I'm hoping that the trend will reverse, but no movement on it really as of today, like small fractions of percents, but no big round numbers changed really. So, and that 2.6 million just kind of held on throughout the day. So not a ton of activity. That's why it'll be interesting to see when this short volume ratio kicks in. Are we still in the high 20s or 30s, or did it drop down quite significantly? I don't know. And just want to see if I missed my refresh button there. Yeah, nothing's coming in yet. So I'm going to have to address it later on Twitter. I'll put my Twitter handle in the description below. So if you want to check there, I'll do updates more frequently than I make videos, obviously, because it's just a tweet. But that's the data as we have it so far today. Fees still in the 70s. Someone's returned a bunch of shares that didn't get loaned back out, at least from Interactive Brokers. And the short volume ratio is still kind of like unknown at the moment. So we'll see. But as always, the most important thing that needs to keep happening is this price needs to keep recovering back to 25 and as quickly as possible, to be honest, because that's sort of like the degree to which the pressure has to be put on. It's just not the dollar value of the pressure, but it's the speed, because the speed shows strength, shows vigor, shows resiliency, shows determination to drive this price up. All right, well, that'll do it for this one. I hope you all fared well today, and I will see you in the next video.